And yes, here we are live here in the spoiler room. Oh, I'm excited tonight, folks, because we are back once again. We have brought our ammo and loaded our cannon to take a shot at another cannon fodder film. This one, 1988 or an 85, excuse no, 88. It was 88, right? Lifeforce, right? Is it 88 or was that 85? Wow, look at me already. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So yes. 85. God, I tell you, crazy times. But yes, folks, 1985, Lifeforce. Oh, we got a lot to talk about, I think, tonight. And I've got a great crew with us tonight to talk about this classic canon film as part of our Canon Fodder series. First off, she's back with us in the spoiler room. Give it up for Miss Angelique. Hello, Angelique. How are you?
Hello, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good to have a female perspective for this. I was a little worried because I'm like, I could use a female perspective just because of the main character and the lack of things the main character wears. So, and with us as well tonight, he is back with us in the spoiler room. Always a pleasure to have him. The BFD. It's Mr. Glenn Bittner. Hello, Glenn. How are you?
Am I live or am I Memorex?
You're both.
I'm Memorex.
You're Memorex. You got to have your hair blowing back, wasn't it? There you go. There you go. In the chair. Actually, that works for you. It doesn't work for me. I'm more like a.
No, what you can do is you can do the G.I. Joe, the big tall ones. You can like decollide with the thing when you. You can do that.
I remember that. Oh, well, there is no G.I. Joe with us in this film tonight. There are plenty of British astronauts and one American in this classic film known as Lifeforce. Angelique, if you would be so kind, could you give us the synopsis of Lifeforce for those who may not be familiar with this film?
What can one say about Lifeforce, really?
Where to begin?
Okay, so it's Halley's Comet, and it starts before there. There's a space mission, and there's a ship, and it's a rescue mission, I'm guessing, and they find some strange things aboard a ship. But the Churchill, the rescue vessel, much like Alien, needs to be rescued itself because it goes silent. Turns out it's been destroyed, but the cargo that it was transporting, which happens to be a naked lady and two naked dudes and a bat creature that they never elaborate anymore on, sadly, gets brought back to London. They think these three naked people are dead, but it turns out that they're electric space vampires, and they go on a rampage and get chased all over the world. One of the astronauts on the second rescue mission actually escaped in the escape pod, but he has a psychic bond with the queen vampire, and there's a whole lot of bureaucratic British scenes, so you kind of lose a little bit in the middle. But then you get an excellent Patrick Stewart mind morph. And then it kind of trails off, but then the astronaut and the queen vampire meld, and they find a way to kill her and have her spirit whisked back with Halley's Comet. And the end. Yeah, that's what you really need to know about Lifeforce is she is naked. Naked. The whole time.
No, not the last minute. She's wearing a robe, robe thing.
Oh, her Elvira robe that she takes off.
Well, I mean, she does, but she was wearing it for a little while, so she's not naked throughout the entire thing.
It wasn't closed, Mark.
Well, it was kind of draped over.
Yeah, but then she undraped it.
Well, she did undrape it.
She was in an advanced state of nude, which I have a protest point. You know, we get to see her Matilda Mays the whole time, and her butt, but never once do we get a glimpse of a male behind or a male front.
No, we don't. That surprised me actually when you get to, because the astronauts arrive, they're investigating Halley's Comet. They find, no, not the spaceship from 2010, but it looks like the spaceship from 2010 from a distance. Anyway, and they show up and they find the three naked folks in crystals. And yeah, where the guy's junk is, it's all like where the crystal has fogged up. But she's dead center, brightly lit, all naked.
She's not just naked, she's naked. She is naked with intent.
Naked with intent, nice. Known as Space Girl and only given 7 minutes total of screen time, and most of that screen time, she was completely naked. Well, now that we got the naked out of the way, Glenn, do you remember when you first saw Lifeforce? I'm sure it'll come up again.
I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theater. Because I had a friend's brother who worked there, so we got to see all the rated R movies. And if it wasn't that, I know I saw it on HBO or Skinamax or one of those channels. I watched it several times, for research purposes.
I
think you broke Angelique. You okay, Angelique?
I'm fine.
Yes. Even though, my suspension of disbelief is pushed well beyond any acceptable limit, less than 20 minutes into the movie. So
why is your suspension of disbelief pushed in 20 minutes?
There is no way these aliens would have ended up in England, because there's no way the United States would have gone up there and said, "Oh, look, alien people in a pod. We'll just give these back to England."
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's the Challenger went up and saved or investigated the burned out Churchill.
Yeah,
took aliens, and then the U.S. just said, "Yes, we'll give these over because we're such a sharing, giving country."
Oh, it was the Columbia, I think it was.
Well, Columbia, whichever one.
It was a shuttle, yeah. But yeah, the U.S. goes up there to rescue the joint British-U.S. venture to go study Halley's Comet. They find it all burnt to hell. Everybody's dead, just about, except for our vampire aliens. And yeah, you're right. There's no way. Once they reported back to the headquarters, hey, we've got 3 live people in crystal cases here. Yeah, the U.S. wouldn't go, oh,
it would have been, everything burned up.
In fact, they would have said 3 naked people. The U.S. definitely would have said, no, we're keeping them. And in all honesty, the British would have probably said, take them. We don't want any nakedness in our country. Depending on if the censors were around. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this film goes it's weird. The film goes all over the place. I mean, the thing is with this canon film, there's a budget here. It's like, wow, here's where all that missing in action and Death Wish money went. I mean, they got some names for this film behind the camera as well as in front. It blew me away watching the credits and the opening title, just who was involved in this. Angelique, do you remember when you first saw Lifeforce?
I saw it a little later. It had to have been late 90s when I saw it.
Sure.
I picked up another Joe Bob book.
Yeah.
Was on the quest to watch every movie in that, and he had talked about it in that one. So, yeah, it was late 90s. And it was one I did not feel comfortable watching with my parents.
They're not vampire fans?
They're not vampire
No, they
fans.
detest vampires. That's where I get it from.
Yeah. I saw it later too. I rented it, I think, later on in but because for research purposes at that age. But anyway, of course, well, a young teenager guy, of course. But
you gotta learn about every kind of vampire,
that's right. Vigilance. You need to know that vampire knowledge, But again, going back to the credits, what boggles my mind, and Angelique, maybe you let me know, does it surprise you just what people were involved in this type of film? I mean, there's a budget, but there's names in this film.
Yeah. My jaw kind of dropped watching it for the episode, today. Like, are you kidding me? And you can tell that these people were involved. Just the look of the film alone. Well, not to mention the effects. I mean, the floating in the spaceships themselves, then getting into the creatures, the facilities, the people getting sucked dry, and that's not a euphemism. They literally get sucked into mummies.
They do. But they're not dead, though. They don't get sucked completely dead right away, which I thought was an interesting twist, in that their bodies are still kind of alive. They had their life force sucked out of them, and so then they, in turn, grab someone and suck their life force out. But it only lasts a couple hours.
Yep.
So,
just like a kitten, they gotta feed every 2 hours.
You gotta feed every 2 hours. Yeah, it just, I mean, and I'm watching the credits, I'm like, wait, Henry Mancini does the music, though. There are some cues out there that have Michael Kamen's music in here as well. I think they were trying to get James Horner in the beginning, which would have definitely been interesting to do the music. But who's it? John Dykstra. Freaking John Dykstra. This is the special effects guy. I mean, he worked on so much and was known for so many things. And here he's doing this really odd telling of the Dracula story with a completely naked alien and zombie, but not zombies. And this film just the scope that it, I mean, it just blows my mind. And then Patrick Stewart shows up. I mean, the people in this, Glenn, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but Patrick Stewart wasn't really known at that point.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I think his biggest role would have been what? Excalibur?
Yeah, that's true.
Where he played the Underground.
Yeah. But I mean, still, when you think of Patrick Stewart, you don't think of him being in a film like this. Though, I mean, he wasn't Gleaming the Cube. He wasn't Gleaming the Cube, so.
Yes.
So he's an actor, so wherever you can get a job, I guess, and also stretching your acting chops, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Stretching something. Does it surprise you, Glenn, at all that this actually, though, considering who's making it and what type of story it's set, that it doesn't take place on U.S. soil pretty much at all? It is actually a sci-fi film that doesn't take place in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of
it is different.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, in what way would you say that it mostly makes it different for something like this versus is maybe less propaganda, less? I mean, what would you say makes it the most different, just besides being British?
Well, everyone has a board up their ass. I mean, everyone is so dry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They are very driving. Even when they're sitting there, I love this because they've got the scene where they've got the victims of the vampire of Space Girl, as she's been titled. We just call her naked
Girl.
Space Girl.
I saw Luna. Oh wait, no, that's never mind.
Not that Space Girl. No. So we see the victims of that, but even when these guys they're like living corpses, everybody's just like, oh, he got up after 2 hours, or, oh, I know what's going on. And it's just like, dude, you just watched this guy explode into ash. And they're just like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know what's going on. But you're right, Glenn. Everybody is rather dry. I mean, even when they see, that shows you the difference though in culture too, Angelique, because even when they see Space Girl sans clothing walking around, those guards they were just like, oh, she's naked.
That one, the older guard, he's like, excuse me, miss.
She just walked past naked. He's like, oh, excuse me, miss. Like, this is an everyday occurrence type of thing. Oh, yeah.
Bless him.
I pulled up some. I pulled up some of the trivia for this, and apparently there's behind the scenes photos where our Mathilda May was chatting with the cast just completely naked. She never tossed a robe on or anything, even behind the scenes. Apparently she was very comfortable with nudity.
Why bother?
That's true. I mean, you're in front of the camera all the time naked, so and I guess during the filming of many of May's first scenes, there were suspiciously many carpenters and construction workers present, so the remaining of her scenes were on a filmed closed set. Oh, I think I've got to nail that board up there for the entire scene.
I say, I've not seen a naked lady since the last time I was at the Renaissance section of the museum. Must see if anything's changed.
Though, Angelique, it does explain why you didn't see the men.
Oh, please.
Due to censorship rules, it forbade full male nudity.
Well,
so they had to wear flesh-colored socks over their genitals in case they were inadvertently picked up by the cameras.
How dare? That's stupid. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. As the president and founding member of the Jason Statham's Butt Appreciation Club, I fully denounce those regulations and call for their immediate reversal.
Release the junk cut.
Yes.
Glenn's like, this is how I'm spending this evening of mine.
Yeah. Sorry, Glenn. I feel very strongly about milk.
That's just fine.
It may surprise you, Glenn, that the movie was shut down one time because they had run out of money. It is canon, after all, right?
Yes.
What is one of the things about this film that surprises you, Glenn? I'm curious. One of
Surprises me.
that's surprising for the type of film that it is. What would you say? One of the things that might surprise you in this film, if anything?
Nothing really surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, for a 1980s movie, the fact that they had her full frontal that often,
Mm-hmm.
and this was actually released in theaters and not like under an X rating.
Right.
Other than that, nothing's like really surprising from it. I mean, it's a canon movie.
It is.
It meanders and weaves and bobs and goes everywhere, and has a very, very loose connection to itself.
It does. Well, I mean, this film, what surprises me with this film is the scope. Oh, like it explodes in scope. I mean, we go from this the alien ship, which apparently was supposed to look like a penis. Go figure.
You don't say.
Yeah. No kidding. You look at that radar outline and you're just like, oh, look at that. Bait and tackle. Riding Halley's Comet. There you go. But apparently they had a lot more scenes on that ship. And so when this film first starts out, you think it's going to be about this crew that we spend a chunk of time with in the opening that are investigating Halley's Comet and that find our aliens. And then like 20 minutes later, it's like, 30 days later, Mr. SpongeBob voice. Suddenly we see the shuttle, but they're not responding. You're like, uh-oh. And we learn like everybody but one person we were introduced at the beginning of this movie are dead. Well, that besides the naked aliens. And then it goes from them tracking down just this one alien who is able to suck the life force, which is a cool angle. But then Angelique, where does it go from there? She can't just suck the life force now.
So now, not only she can jump bodies. How? What did this? What did it? So why did she have the naked lady body in the first place? Why wasn't she just a bat? Huh? Girl me this. No.
Where did they get the human body idea from? Because they were in space on a.
Oh no! She took that. She. When they entered,
that's great.
She had already formed a psychic bond with the one dude, which is
the American. Yeah,
she pulled the image out of his mind.
That's right. I forgot that. Yeah, that's right. At the end, we do get actually some exposition. She doesn't have a whole lot of lines, namely because, well, she never spoke English before this film, so she actually learned English while on set. So they limited her lines, I imagine, in the beginning. But she learned, and that's right. You're right that they explained that away. That when they stepped on the ship, when it came on the ship, she connected with the hitchhiker. I mean, Colonel Tom Carlson. Which, if you forget his name, don't worry, you'll know Carlson's name because they say it about 80 times throughout the film. Yeah, that's right. She had the psychic link to him immediately, which is that loose retelling then of Dracula, right? Because you had what's his name slowly getting drained by Dracula, or not him. Nina, thank you. Nina was slowly being drained by Dracula over time. He didn't want to fully kill her, so I mean, you kind of have that. I just couldn't help but for like the first 20 minutes, every time I looked at Mr. Tom Carlson, I couldn't think of anybody but the hitchhiker. He looks like the hitchhiker. Like, what are you doing, man? But no. He'd go on later to play Ed Gein. So there you go.
And a good Ed Gein at that.
And a good Ed Gein. Yes. A good Ed Gein. He looked very similar to him, to the hitchhiker. But in any case, so then we go to that. And then after that, Glenn, after we get to she can jump bodies, suddenly we have a zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
But that's different than what we were established in the beginning, to where they just suck the life force out of it, like one at a time people. Now it's like multiple people. I mean, I was trying to figure out where that came from. It just happened.
Pretty much just happened.
I mean, were they just
It
throwing?
was the so what do we do now? I mean, we can only have someone walk around naked for so long. There's got to be something else to the movie, right? Probably.
To which, again, that's one of those things where I keep coming back to the nudity because it's so evident there, though, in the opening. It's like, yeah, then she decides to jump bodies. It's like for most of this early film where you're fighting, you're sucking the energy out of guys and confronting guards. You left yourself naked, but then all of a sudden, off camera, while venturing the countryside, you decided, oh, it might be good to get clothes now. So she jumps into the body of a redhead, who, yeah, and then she jumps, and then they try to explain the jump by. It had me a lot, and I enjoyed this film from start to finish because it's just batshit crazy. But it seemed like they had a cohesive idea for about a third of this movie. And then it just kind of, let's do this now. Angelique, does it surprise you where the scope of this like goes, like just out of nowhere? It seems
yeah, because it's like you're on a track. Like, okay, all right, space vampires. I dig it. We're on this track. How are they going to stop them? Because obviously, your garlic, your steaks, grenades don't kill space vampires. How are we going to stop them? But then all of a sudden we on the MI5, and now we got a voracious redhead taking advantage of old Irish farmers who's possessed.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
She had to get a ride, I guess, to the mental asylum.
I don't know where she was headed.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, the first question I asked is, how did she get wherever she was that she then needed a ride back?
I mean, she was walking the moors. I mean, I don't know.
She walking pretty quick. If I was trying to figure out, okay, where you went from London to, where are you, Scotland? I'm looking at this going. I mean, she wasn't Scotland. Where was she? She walked a pretty far distance just overnight. Because the time frame is a little muddled of just how long she's missing. They seem to. I mean, is it days? It's hard to tell how.
They had to spend a couple of days in America too.
Well, because they had to get the astronaut, because he went back to America and he actually flew over. Of course, this was back when they had the Concorde, so he could have made it over quicker. But still, she was
too much time.
It's like, okay, but yeah, she hops into this body of this woman who works in an insane asylum, which is where we meet up Patrick Stewart.
Not only works there, but lives there. I do not want a job as a live-in nurse at a hospital for the criminally insane. I'm sorry. No.
But this nurse then, oh my God. It's like nobody can just be a person in this movie, right, Glenn? Because the nurse.
Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
She's got something not wrong with her, but she's got a kink. It's like, I sense that she wants me to force this out of her. And I'm like, wait, what?
She's not the only one in that scene with a kink.
Well, no, because you get the MI5 guy who goes, because the American.
I'm a voyeur and just kind of settles on it.
Because fucking Carlson goes, are you sure you want to be here for this? As he first reveals that she wants me to force this out of her. And I'm like, well, this just took a weird, dark turn. And then you're like, okay, he's going to leave. He's like, no, I've always been a voyeur at heart. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And there's this awkward scene where our supposed hero is mentally fighting and forcing this woman the information out of her, and she's enjoying this, and you're just like, what happened to the fun space vampires on the ship?
This is weird and I don't like it.
Well, but wait, there's more. Then we get Patrick Stewart into the mix. And we get this hypnosis serum that they want to inject because she jumped bodies into Patrick Stewart now. And they suddenly come to this realization because as he goes along, Carlson becomes more and more linked with the vampire and can tell more things, apparently. He gains more powers. So they inject it with a lot of this hypno serum and get him locked in a room. And then what happens with Patrick Stewart and our guy Carlson, Glenn?
They go all Nazi melty. Or no, you're talking with
I'm talking about it in the when she keeps her image between her and Patrick Stewart, and she's trying to like almost draw Carlson in to kiss her, but
yeah.
It
gets all gay up in there.
Which I have no problems with, but I'm just watching this going,
not at all.
I'm just sitting there. It just surprised me. I'm like, you're like an hour and a half into the film now, and suddenly you have this moment, and you're like, okay, I didn't see this coming. Like, that's one thing Lifeforce is unpredictable in where you can see any of these characters going. Except Carlson, you kind of suspect his ticket's punched. I mean, you suspect anyway when you find out he's got a psychic link to her, to Space Girl. But it's so wild that this film goes to there. So then they try to do like the power of God compels you and expel the alien out of her, only to get in a helicopter and find out there's a massive plague outbreak in London.
Yeah. As would happen.
Movie number 5?
Movie number 5. Because there's so many stories they keep touching on. Now, I haven't read the book that it's based off of, which is aptly called Space Vampires. With this, so I'm not sure how the book went, but it just seemed this story just seems so random. Just when you get into one storyline, it says, oh, we're done with that, and you're like, no, I want to see more of that. It's like, let's explore more of her taking over Patrick Stewart's body and that whole thing, and the insane asylum in general, which seems to have some weird shit going on. I mean, it's just so all over the place. And then we forgot to mention the doctor who's into the death.
Yeah.
Angela, yeah, Glenn, what about our Dr. Death, I guess we could call it?
He nuts.
Well, he's the one that gets to drop the title of the film, right? Well,
yeah.
everybody has the life force. And I'm like, really? Come on. I'm like, do we have to blatantly drop the line?
Yes.
Because
it must be done. It's the 80s.
That's true. In case the audience didn't get the fact that this is why we call it Lifeforce. Like, oh, never mind the fact that we just watched her suck the electricity, whatever, out of the body of a person.
Well, yeah, I mean, but if he didn't say Lifeforce, people would have thought that the movie going. Why didn't they call this Electric Suckers?
I mean, that's what I would have called it.
Yeah, Electric Suckers. There you go. That would have been interesting. That's a different movie, I think.
I watched that one for research purposes.
You watched that one for research purposes. Oh, that's so. Did you? They over 1,000 actresses were considered or interviewed for the role of Space Girl. 1,000. Apparently, Toby Hooper said it was incredibly difficult to find an actress willing to play the role because it was basically just walking around totally naked most of the time and then having sex.
Yeah.
Look at Glenn. Glenn's like, what? Glenn's like, can I audition? No.
I did.
I'm like 1,000 actresses. It was that hard to find that. I mean,
it may have been ones that were finding one that was comfortable with it, but also looked the part.
Yeah, that's true.
And accepting the pay that they're offering you.
Yeah, because it is canon. You're not exactly getting paid top dollar probably for for the role. According to this trivia, it says one casting session, a group of German actresses conspired against Hooper by all refusing to do the nude scenes. They later found out that one of them wanted the role so badly she talked the others into rioting so she could possibly get the role. Yeah, wow. And it was actually called Space Vampires. That's how, of course, Canon marketed it, $25 million in hopes of creating a full-blown blockbuster. But they wanted the title change because they didn't think, because they felt it, get this, they felt that the title made it sound like a typical Canon low-budget exploitation movie instead of a typical big-budget Canon exploitation movie.
I mean, it's no Cobra.
No, it isn't a Cobra. That's true. This is not Cobra. Less action in it. But the effects, having John Dykstra in here and the visual effects for the type of movie and story it is. I mean, these mummies, Angelique. What'd you think of these mummified beings that could move and fucking walk around, and they were freaking creepy?
They were outstanding. I mean, the one thing I don't like about them are the eyes, but you can never get the eyes right in something like that. They're always going to look like big ping pong balls. But otherwise, I mean, especially the one lady that they found in the park that was all desiccated, that blew out the machinery in the laboratory, she was the best one out of all of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That, and then the transition from the one who sucked the life force out of the doctor, going from mummified to
human,
healthy and whole, and then when he needed more life, when he was down in the jail cell, sinking back into the mummy thing, and then exploding. The explosions were cool as hell.
the dust explosions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, the one who charged the bars and then just went pop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a sandwich, y'all. Come on.
Well, that's the thing, is the effects.
And by sandwich, we mean Steven.
Yeah. We mean Steven. Steve, get a little closer. No, you'll be fine. Get a little closer. No, really. No. It's good. Good.
You're already half sucked anyway.
You're half sucked anyway. Just go. Just get near him. That's fine. Though, yeah. So, Who knows? Maybe Steven would have helped them live longer. They could have done more research, but they didn't seem too phased either by. I mean, the one prime minister representative was, but the MI6 guy was just like, huh. And the other guy was like, oh, that's very interesting that he ran against the bars and he exploded into a ball of dust, which, yeah, I mean, all the effects, these effects for the type of weird ass movie, these effects in here for the film are crazy good. I mean, they're not, of course, they must have been running out of budget near the end when they were getting to the crowd scenes with the zombies around, because then the makeup started to look a little janky on some of their zombie folk.
Well, I mean, you gotta. It's canon.
It's canon.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it's canon. And this is why at least why I find canon films fascinating, and I love them, because they've got they try to make, and this is I think this is one of the very prime examples. They try to make a big budget epic, but they're canon. So it's like a big budget B movie. It's like straight up exploitation B movie, but it's got a big budget. So you're just like, okay. I mean, the bat, yeah. I mean, the bat, I was disappointed that we didn't get more bat action in the beginning. I mean, they took the body of the bat and then they got the three naked humans. I'm like, are we going to do anything with it? No.
Yeah, does the bat come to life? I want to see the bat come to life.
Yeah, or them doing experiments on it, or some scene,
Or do the people turn into the bats?
I mean, if you're going to rip off a bunch of movies, go all out, do an autopsy on the bat and have it like come alive or whatever. Try to eat them or something. But no, we don't get any of that, but we do get some wonderful effects. But yeah, what I found interesting too is that, oh, these are space vampires and we're okay. We're trying to do something new with them, and you're feeling okay with them that, okay, they're bats, but and then all of a sudden you're like, well, they can be killed. Right, Glenn? What can they be killed with?
Just get yourself a good old metal sword. Put it not in the heart, but right below the heart where the life force lives.
So right in the chakra,
I loved that bit because at first you're like, okay, expecting, drive it through the heart, right? Steel or silver or whatever. It's because this guy just happened to have this silver sword.
Yeah, as one does.
As one does.
Well, I mean, it's England. I mean,
I was going to say, isn't that a rule over there?
I think you're required to own a sword.
But yeah, I love that. Well, did you run it through his heart? No. 2 inches below the heart. I'm like, oh, way to try to be original. And then they're like, oh, I think these space vampires have been here before, and they're the ones that of legend. And I'm like, wait, what? Angelique, now they're trying to connect the legendary vampires with these vampires?
I disallow it. I reject it.
I mean, there is a little bit, the whole kind of sexual thing, but I'm like, no, those are biting people. They aren't like staring into their eyes and sucking out the energy. Yeah. You would think that would make it into the lore, lightning shooting out or stealing the life force, but no, these are just like the classic vampires.
Well, we're all vampires in one way or another, don't you know? Yeah, me eating Cheetos is a form of vampirism. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Are they from people? We are close to Soylent Green years.
No.
No, that's not green Cheetos. Those are regular Cheetos.
No. I gotta go.
The Cheetos, they're made from people. don't know. I just, Glenn, would you call this a good film? Wow, we don't even get a sigh. We just get a breathing. We just
No.
Is it because it's so sporadic, or what would you say?
It's so sporadic. The ending is just all of a sudden like, oh, and boom, in space. What was that? What just happened? That's the end? That's the end you're going with?
Well, yeah, because the whole town is getting their souls sucked. Well, not everybody, but most people, and they're all suddenly pulling this kind of magic scene where everything's being collected by the cathedral, by our space girl, who we learned is the conduit. The two males collect the souls, but she's the only one that can send it up into the spaceship for whatever reason.
For the rest of the Bat family.
For the rest of the Bat family, who were all dead as far as we were aware. Yeah, and then Carlson tracks her down, and instead of, doing what he needs to initially, he gets seduced by her because of the connection. And while they're making love, you've got Mr. MI5 or whatever yelling at him. And this is where I was saying, folks, you won't forget Carlson's name at the end of this film, because he was like yelling his name for like 4 minutes.
It's like that little video of the groundhog or whatever going, Alan, Alan, Alan.
Yep.
I'm like sitting up there going, dude, he's getting it. He's having an intimate moment with his space girlfriend, and you're up there going, Carlson, 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 Carlson. Carlson's like, dude, go away. Go away, man.
Dude, I'm in the 5th dimension right now. I don't even hear you.
Who are you? But then he tosses that sword down, and Carlson, in his infinite wisdom, doesn't just try to kill her. He pushes it through himself, too. Which I'm like, there's many ways this could have gone down.
Well, because she tells him that she's the same as he is. He's the same as she is now.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So he's got to kill himself, too.
But he hadn't sucked the energy out of pretty much anybody the whole film. So
He's been sucking it out of her.
That's, yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. They're sharing each other on this. So I guess if he just would have killed her, he would have then had to suck the life force out of someone else. Maybe.
I mean, you're looking for logic in a Cannon movie. So, I mean, if you want to keep going down that road, I mean, pack a big lunch.
Yeah, I mean, it is unusual. It's mind-boggling looking the money put behind this thing. But another prime example, much like what we talked about, the Apple. And I'm not bringing it up for just one reason. The Apple, though, was a film that they went a big budget on and a big scope on because they wanted to break into the U.S. theater market. And musicals were still a big thing in the 80s, so they thought this was going to be a big, hey, music, huge sets, very elaborate production design. And this kind of has that. I mean, the spaceship production design, that set and everything, that was pretty impressive for, this film about vampires. It kind of gave me like they were trying to go for the space equivalent of the Vampire Mansion, maybe, the way it was designed.
It looked like a beehive.
It did look like a beehive. It looked like a beehive a lot more than a penis. So, even though that's what on the inside anyway, that's true. Well, it had the umbrella thing that opened up for whatever reason to collect the souls. That's why it opened up. but there's not a whole lot of explanation in there, though apparently there was a lot more footage that they ended up cutting from the space scenes. There was supposed to be a lot more on the Churchill. I think the extended cut or whatever had more scenes in it. But where was the other one? Oh, here you go. In true canon fashion, they tried to get Sir Anthony Hopkins to play the Colonel Kane character, who turned it down. Then they thought they had a deal with Terrence Stamp, but for some reason that fell through. Michael Gothard screen tested for Kane, but then Toby Hooper went with Peter Firth. You read about how they did this, and there you go. Marina Sirtis was considered for Space Girl, because after all, she had done 2 other films with Canon, so so they thought maybe they would be able to get her, which would have been interesting for all those Star Trekky heads out there to have both Marina Sirtis and Patrick Stewart in a film. 4 years before Next Generation? About that? Not even. Oh,
I think if she had been in it, she probably wouldn't have gotten cast in Star Trek.
That's true. Well, I don't know Gene Roddenberry, but that's true. Probably not.
But Gene Roddenberry, still has to, and still, they have to have some approval from the station, the network, the studio.
That's true. That's very true. So yeah, if she would have got it to where she had to stay naked through the whole thing, yeah, that's true. She might not have gotten cast for Star Trek because of that role. Though it would have probably been the role in a canon film where she had the most lines, because she didn't get like hardly any dialogue in the Death Wish film she was in, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, but that kind of boggles my mind that they would have been paired together earlier than Star Trek. See, so there you go, folks. You almost had a brief brush with Trekkie-ism there, early meeting up. Where was it? I have to find the one trivia, if you bear with me for a moment, because I'm like, wait, this is actually a trivia. So bear with me, folks, but apparently Toby Hooper revealed once in the early stages of shooting, they waxed Mathilda May. You can imagine where they waxed her, because they thought it would make her look less nude. These guys, do they study anatomy?
What in? Oh.
What's the matter, Angelique?
No, that's not how it works. That's not how
They thought that if they waxed her below, that it would make her look less nude. Unfortunately, because they don't study biology, it revealed more than expected. So they had her grow back a bikini strip. To which Toby Hooper apparently inspected often to make sure to see the progression of the growth.
I'm certain he did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make markings for Jesus. Oh God.
It is 85 before a lot more of those rules got put in place, and unfortunately movies like this are why those rules of who actually.
The Americans have been around since a while.
Well, yeah, they could have easily, yeah. So, as if the film won't make you uncomfortable now, now that we've ruined it for people.
Now I just got to think about Toby Hooper down there with a freaking, jeweler's loop, checking Matilda May's bikini strip. Thank you. I'm going to sleep great tonight.
Sorry. My apologies.
Nope, we need 27 more pubes. No, we can't.
Nope. Yeah, let me just
a little ruler. Let's see how
really
long.
arranging them.
One of them.
Just scooch
Nope.
this one over to the left.
Nope, I can
Left
still
or
see that.
right.
Nope, not yet. Nope, I can still see that. Not yet. That just.
Now, if they filmed this today, you just got the same people who did the brush over of Superman's mustache to do the opposite.
They'll just put his mustache.
We'll take his mustache off.
Copy paste.
Copy paste.
Control C, Control V.
It's a whole new meaning to the word Control V, actually.
Yep.
So there's a little more too. He says, well, I want the pubic hair as short as possible and lighten it up. I don't really want to see it. So every morning, this person was on her knees trimming and coloring to make it look perfect. In some cases, the makeup artist didn't actually cut it, but simply sprinkled hairs from wigs around Bay to satisfy Hooper.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to that makeup artist.
Yeah, I mean, I guess jobs. It's Hollywood, you know.
Sorry,
I'm getting
Miss May.
paid.
Do you know what Colombian marching powder is? Yes, well, that's why we're doing this. So.
Cocaine deserved its own Academy Award, as Mr. Shearer would say. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the film is awkward to begin with, and now after reading some trivia, I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. Lovely. But I mean, you know, that's one of those situations where I understand it's a movie and it's Hollywood, but that just shows you the mindset, unfortunately.
Toby Hooper apparently didn't like pubic hair. That's
yeah, I'm like, yeah, color it fine, just okay, color, you know. Or how about you don't have to have her completely naked, or a flesh-colored thong. You gave the guys a flesh.
McBain, stop talking crazy.
I mean, you gave the guys, you know, flesh-covered tube socks. You could give her.
They made Linnea Quigley wear a latex crotch. I mean, there's solutions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what limited budget you have. There are solutions to it. Apparently, they had to glue soles to the bottom of her bare feet so she didn't cut her feet on the glass when she walks out, because she blows the glass out from the headquarters where she's at when she escapes. You know, which is it's one of those things where you see all these things in the actress, because the character herself, I actually like.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like this character. You know, there's just choices they made that they didn't have to have. I think that they could still got their idea across. Would you agree, Glenn, that they could have gotten this character without needing to be what it is?
Sure.
I mean, so do you think that it was just for the exploitation, sex appeal?
Let me think. Toby Hooper doing something just for the exploitation of it. I don't know if that's a thing I could get behind.
Yeah, I know. I'm posing the question is all. That's
fine.
You know, I just looked at it.
I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious answer. We've already talked about that he was practically measuring her pubes.
Yeah, that's true.
Of where his mind, as far as the character went, was.
That's true, which is sad because, like, Angelique, what do you think of her character? I mean, besides the fact that she's not wearing clothes, the character herself.
The character itself, I mean, if they had continued on with the the one way. She's a space vampire with cool psychic powers. Skip the whole body jumping thing. Awesome. You know, when she explodes the glass, that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie because, oh crap, she's powerful. She's a force to be reckoned with. Now what's going to be happening?
Absolutely nothing for about half an hour.
Right. Now we're going to sit down and talk about her.
And then she's not going to look like herself anymore because we need to shoot it. We need to shoot a scene outside, and we can't have her naked outside in the countryside, apparently. But I don't know. I mean, I liked her character though. You know, I thought this would have been an interesting character. You know, I was hoping you're hoping for that point where, okay, she does actually eventually find some clothing. She realizes maybe I should be clothed.
How should I blend in on Earth?
Yeah.
First.
While I can feed, you know. But no, we don't get that. We get off screen. Oh, she jumps bodies now, and you're just like, they're grasping. You know. So where does this rank for you, Glenn, for canon films? Really low tier, medium?
There's more than one tier for canon films.
There can be. I mean, we had films like, you know,
we did have some decent canon films. This is low mid tier. So I mean, the story's a complete mess. Right. But I mean, the effects in some scenes are really good. The puppetry effects of the zombies is really, really good for 1985 on what was probably not a huge budget. I mean, some pretty good work on that stuff. So yeah, low mid tier.
What about you, Angelique? Where does it rank for you for canon film?
Mid tier. You know, as far as canon goes, I prefer the straight action films.
Right.
So, it's like I said earlier, it's no Cobra.
It is no Cobra, no, but it is. I mean, you could see what they were trying to do. And in all honesty, I mean, I think we all agree that if they would have picked a lane and stuck with it for 90 minutes, I think you actually kind of have an interesting, weird, but interesting space vampire story.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I've seen far worse movies, you know, probably that came out at the very same time as Lifeforce. You know?
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing this is when you talk about some canon film, I mean, there is some effort you could tell put into this. It just, they felt off the rails, and probably because of budget and just decisions, you know, made not only by the director, but by the producers, I think. I don't know the whole story, and this is where it comes in, folks. You saw it coming. Here it is. I didn't see it because it's not in Austin Trunick's book yet, the volume 1, because it only goes to 1984. So I'm looking forward to seeing his next volume where he'll be talking about this film. The Canon Film Guide, volume 2. Yes, I will plug this thing every Canon show, folks. Just, you know, there you go, because I'm looking forward to the second volume, which he says is extremely long, full of interviews. And I imagine Lifeforce is definitely going to be one of those that's going to be front and center in the book. So I'm looking forward to that. But Canon Film Guide Volume 1 is out. Make sure you check it out for all the great stuff. And yeah, we'll wrap it up here. It's not a deep film. It's an odd film. I don't think you could call this a horrible film, like you said, Angelique. I think that's does a disservice for the work that was put into it. As far as a film by itself, a lot of good elements and production elements are in here. You start thinking about the other things and what's actually going on. Well, then, you know, it's not exactly a good film. Definitely a product of its time and a product of canon. So we'll wrap it up here. Thank you. I hope you liked this rambling of Life Force. I'm not sure where it sits with me. It's not one I visit often, but it's one that I think once you watch it, you will remember it. and you'll at least know what people are referring to. So before we get to the shilling tonight, it is a canon film, folks. We've got to load the cannon, and I'm going to have Glenn, because it's a special day for Glenn. I'm not going to say what, but it's a special day for him. So, Glenn,
I pooped in the potty.
He did all by himself, not in his pants.
Well,
So, but our list, as we do with every canon film fodder episode, we have the canon fired to determine what our next canon film will be that we will talk about next month. The list has been whittled down. We only have 4 left for the year. So, Mr. Glenn Bittner, BFD, grab a number between 1 and 4, and let's load it into the canon and see what we get.
I'm not grabbing a number.
He's gonna roll a number.
4.
Oh, look at that.
That would be a 4.
A 4. Let's see. Load the cannon. We're putting 4 in the cannon, and let's see what we get here, folks. Wait for it to hit. And there can be only one. We are covering Highlander next month. Again, an appropriate pick by an appropriate crew member. How does this keep happening? I don't plan this, folk, at all. But our man, the guy who I have mad respect for his gamer skills, DM and otherwise, fantasy skills, it is appropriate that Glenn would hit Highlander. Swords, Scottish, Scotland. I mean, it's appropriate for you, I think. So, and he just nods. He's like, so well shot, Glenn. Next month will be Highlander. I will have to figure out a theme. Maybe not, but I'll probably figure out a theme for next month around Highlander. I don't know if I want to cover the other Highlander films, just because it would require me to watch Highlander.
Other Highlander films. There can be only one.
There can be only one. Maybe I'll do a month of Clancy Brown.
You can do, yeah, we could do that, or you could do Highlander Club, and then you could do the Highlander Club or Silent Highlander, and then the Highlander Club episode of the Goldbergs would be another one, and then just follow Clancy Brown around for a day with a camera. Maybe another one.
I would love that. I would love that. We have Glenn and I have a mutual friend. I love the man, Robin. When I see Clancy Brown, he reminds me some of Clancy Brown from Starship Troopers. He really does. In a good way. I mean that in a great way, because I love the character in Starship Troopers. So, but if you see him, he's a cool guy, and I love him dearly. But yeah. So Highlander, folks, there you have it. That's what you got looking forward to next month's Canon Fodder film. So now, as always, is a license to shill for all my wonderful crew members, since they are very patient with this rambling host. So, Glenn, you have anything that you want to shill at all? You're welcome to.
If you like gamey stuff, like tabletop games, you can check me out on Twitter or on the TikTok, because I'm one of the old people on TikTok. So it's all under Games in a Bunker, all one word. So
gives great advice if you're a D&D fan, or if you're just a gamer in general. Check it out. I love your TikToks, Glenn, and it's not just because I know you. I find them highly entertaining. I liked your the adventure hook one that you did recently, where you you pitched the story that's in a dungeon, like a prison.
Prison.
Yeah,
The Devil's Gullet.
The Devil's Gullet. Yeah,
I was taken from one of my little horror ones I do. I started doing some fireside horror, like 2-minute horror stories.
Yeah, that was very cool. I was like, I'd play that adventure. So check his stuff out, folks. All good stuff. Games in a Bunker. And Angelique, I know, my friend, you have some stuff to shill. So please shill away.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Just look for Hostess with the Ghostess, and you'll find me. Check us out on monstersmadnessandmagic.com. We've got articles, and our podcast has really taken off. We've got some really fun interviews coming down the pipe. We just posted our upcoming schedule for releases. So, yeah, we've got some good stuff coming.
It is some excellent guests in their, was it the Sanctum of...
The Portal of the Podcast and the Sanctuary of the Strange.
Sanctuary of the Strange. Thank you. I love that name. I can never pronounce it because I'm broken like that. But yeah, I love the Sanctuary of the Strange. And folks, if you're at all interested at all of anything that I might have, we've got a Linktree link now where you can go and you can find the links to everything, or just specialmarkproductions.com. All the links are there. Unfortunately, folks, you've heard me talk about it earlier. SMP Radio is off the air. That venture did not take off like I was hoping for, and I couldn't provide the programs that I wanted to provide people. So I unfortunately cut my loss on that. But I did it. I followed Master Yoda's plan of not try. I do or do not, and I did it. But it just wasn't what I expected, nor what I wanted to provide people. So, for whatever that's worth. So there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for listening. And now we'll just say a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
There could be only one.
Highlander Club.
I'm excited.